While we were traveling back and forth in the U.S. visiting churches, we noticed that missions was dying in the churches. They were just, usually we used to have week-long missionary conferences, and now if we had a weekend, fine. If not, they did skip it. So we thought, well, we need to do something to excite the churches about missions. And so after this first group came, I think it was just an answer to prayer, to a vision that my husband had without the thought of how it was going to work out. So we, after this first group, and we found out how it went, we kept doing it with the idea of having young people going back home and talking to the churches about missions and about their experience and how God answered prayer and how God loved these people. And they needed the gospel and they needed workers. And it didn't work as well as we thought it would, but little by little, these young people have gone back to their churches and become missionaries themselves. We have missionaries that have visited TIME all over the world now. They've gone back home, gotten education, gotten married, and have gone off to the field. I could tell you about different ones that we had worked with. A girl from Michigan, and her name was Linda, and she came and she loved the ministry so much that she came a year after year and helped with leadership, like helping with the work of cooking, of directing the young people, learning Spanish. She was able to take different groups on tours so that we didn't have to do every little thing. But at first, we were going house to house with the gospel, inviting people out to church, inviting them to receive Christ. And I would have to go with the groups and then go back home and work up a meal for them so they could eat. And we had to do it all. But little by little, God sent us young people who stayed and helped us in the ministry. And we can tell you of missionaries that have come and visited Mexico. Maybe they came 2 or 3 years, or maybe it was just 1 year, but they were challenged to go. And they didn't all come to serve with us, but they went other places, in Africa, in France, in Spain, in the U.S. as well. We have young people that have gone into the ministry because of their trip coming down. And one of the things we started in order to occupy the young people and show them more what missions was like was to start building chapels, places for people, the young men, Christians, Mexican Christians, could minister the word. And so we started building chapels. We built 16 different chapels in different villages in Mexico when we felt called to come back here to the Dominican Republic. And we brought that vision back with us of building chapels. At first we built them out of wood, which was easier. My husband was a contractor. Well, he was a woodworker. You could say he's a contractor because he's always been in the ministry, but he loved working with wood. And he worked with his father a lot, so he knew a lot about building. And so that was, we built out of wood because that's what he knew. But then after a while in Mexico, they really wanted cement buildings. And since we weren't really trained to do that, we decided that we'd come here to the Dominican, and they have loved the idea of building with wood. And so with bringing groups down here, not only have they been challenged to do mission work, to go to the mission field, to serve God, not only in a foreign field, but at home. We have been able to challenge young people from all over the U.S. and other places as well. And God has blessed that ministry. And now here in the Dominican, we have completed, we haven't kept track like we should have, but probably as many as 400 little churches planted in different areas, give it a place for the new young Christian pastors to have a place to preach. Before they had a chapel, they would meet out by the river or under the shade of a tree or in their little tiny houses, which really wasn't big enough to start anything. And so we were able to give them a building by the young people raising the money to build, to buy the wood for their church, their little church they were going to build, and come down here and actually build it in a week's time. In fact, they've gotten so good at that that they can do it in 3 or 4 days. And God has blessed many, many, many souls have been saved because of the chapel building. Many young pastors have found a place to preach and to minister. And many, many missionaries have gone off into the other countries. Right now, because of the illness that has come, a lot of changes has been made, and we've been halted in being able to bring groups for a while. But little by little, the groups are beginning to come back, and we're able to continue the ministry that we had started those many years ago.